The film Back to the Future 2 promised us many things about the future. The main thing most people want is hoverboards. But it's 2015 now, why don't we have hoverboards? I've put together a short little presentation to explain why. The doc used this diagram to explain alternate universes to Marty. It shows the timeline from past to the future, and it shows Biff travelling back in time to the past, 1955, changing the past and creating a new reality in which everything is different. So here's the original timeline of what would have occurred during Back to the Future had they not had the time machine. Marty's parents are geeks and Marty himself plays in the band the Pinheads. Now this is what happens during Back to the Future 1. Marty travels back from 1985 to 1955, which is where he meets his parents. Now he changes his parents' lives so that in the present day 1985 they aren't geeks anymore. So here it is overlaid in orange. Marty travels back in time, creates a new timeline exactly the same way that Biff did, and in this new timeline his parents are no longer geeky, they're successful. And Marty also has a brand new pickup truck. Now this pickup truck's very important later on in this presentation. Moving on to Back to the Future 2, I've marked this in blue. Marty travels to the future where he sees he can no longer play guitar due to a broken wrist from an accident he had where he crashed into a Rolls Royce using that brand new pickup truck he had. So this only occurs in the new timeline created after Back to the Future 1. So here's where we overlap with what Biff did. He travelled back in time to 1955, gave himself the sports almanac which created his new timeline, where he's rich and a casino owner. Now this timeline, Marty managed to travel back in time to 1955 again and undo what Biff had done. He took the sports almanac from him which erased this from existence, so this never happened. So from this point, Marty has now created another new timeline. So in this timeline, his parents are still rich and successful and he still has that pickup truck. Now he still enters the race with Jennifer, but avoids the collision with the Rolls Royce, which is what caused him to not be able to play guitar in the future. The sort of person who owns a Rolls Royce like that is obviously very rich, and perhaps the head of a big company. Now that company could have been the company that goes on to invent flying cars, and the technology used in flying cars could have been the technology that's used in hoverboards. By avoiding the collision with the Rolls Royce, Marty's also altered the timeline for the person driving that Rolls Royce. So perhaps they made it to a meeting that they otherwise wouldn't have because they would have been in hospital following the collision. In this meeting, the driver of the Rolls Royce, who was probably head of the company, rejected plans for the development of a division for creating flying cars, something that could have occurred had he not been there at the meeting. All this has taken place because Marty travelled back in time originally, altering the timeline for everybody. So because the flying car division never got made, flying cars didn't exist, the technology for hoverboards could not have been produced. So no flying cars, no hoverboards.